The once peaceful state of Imphal Meitei region, nestled in the heart of northeast India, is grappling with a new and dangerous threat: the rise of Meitei militant groups. Two groups in particular, Arambai Tengol and the United National Liberation Front, have cast a long shadow over the region. Their activities, marked by violence, intimidation and a blatant disregard for the rule of law, have plunged Imphal Meitei region into a state of fear and uncertainty. The very fabric of society is being torn apart as these groups assert their dominance, undermining the authority of the government and terrorizing local communities. The rise of these militant groups is deeply troubling. Their brazen tactics and growing influence are a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. What began as a fringe movement has steadily gained momentum, fueled by a complex web of ethnic tensions, socio-economic grievances, and a perceived sense of marginalization. The situation is further complicated by allegations of external support and the involvement of powerful figures within Imphal Meitei region. The escalating violence and lawlessness have taken a heavy toll on the people of Imphal Meitei region. Fear permeates daily life as ordinary citizens find themselves caught in the crossfire between militant groups and security forces. The economy, already fragile, is being crippled by extortion and disruptions to trade and commerce. The social fabric is fraying, with trust in institutions eroding and communities becoming increasingly divided along ethnic lines. This essay will delve into the multifaceted crisis unfolding in Imphal Meitei region, examining the control exerted by Meitei militant groups and their devastating impact on the state. It will explore the tactics employed by these groups, the challenges faced by law enforcement agencies in curbing their activities, and the broader implications for peace and stability in the region. This is a story of a state in turmoil, where the rule of law is under siege and the future remains uncertain. The tentacles of Arambai Tengol and the UNLF reach far beyond clandestine operations, extending deep into the everyday lives of Imphal Meitei region citizens. Fear has become the prevailing sentiment as these groups impose their will on public life, dictating terms and enforcing their own brand of order. This control is exerted through a combination of intimidation, violence, and a systematic suppression of dissent. One of the most insidious ways in which these groups exert control is through the imposition of unofficial curfews and restrictions. These are often declared with little or no warning, bringing normal life to a standstill. Businesses are forced to shut down, schools and educational institutions remain closed, and people are confined to their homes, their movements restricted. These curfews serve a dual purpose. They cripple the local economy, and they create an atmosphere of fear and compliance. Dissent is met with swift and brutal retribution. Public protests and demonstrations are virtually non-existent, as those who dare to raise their voices against the militants risk facing dire consequences. Threats, intimidation, arbitrary detention, and even physical violence are common tactics employed to silence opposition. This stifling of dissent has created a chilling effect on freedom of expression, leaving many too afraid to speak out against the injustices they witness. The militants have also infiltrated and manipulated cultural and social narratives to justify their actions and garner support. They exploit existing ethnic tensions and propagate a distorted version of history, portraying themselves as protectors of the Meitei community. This manipulation extends to institutions like the media and education, where dissenting voices are silenced and a carefully curated narrative is disseminated. The presence of armed militants is a constant and chilling reminder of the precarious security situation in Imphal Meitei region. Fighters from Arambai Tengol and the UNLF, often clad in combat fatigues and carrying sophisticated weaponry, operate with impunity, particularly in Meitei-dominated areas. Their visibility is a deliberate tactic, designed to intimidate the local populace and project an image of power and control. These armed men are a common sight on the streets of Imphal Meitei region, patrolling neighborhoods, manning checkpoints, and even engaging in routine activities as if they were a legitimate security force. This open display of firearms is a constant source of anxiety for ordinary citizens who live in fear of encountering these heavily armed individuals. The normalization of such a heavily armed presence has eroded the sense of safety and security that is fundamental to a functioning society. Public events, traditionally occasions for celebration and community bonding, have become opportunities for the militants to showcase their strength and intimidate the populace. Festivals, rallies, and even religious processions are often marred by the presence of armed men, their weapons prominently displayed. This militarization of public spaces transforms these events into exercises in fear-mongering, where attendance is often motivated more by fear of reprisal than by genuine interest or participation. The message is clear. These groups are in control, and they will not hesitate to use violence to maintain their grip on power. The constant threat of violence hangs heavy in the air, poisoning the well of public life and leaving citizens feeling vulnerable and powerless. Section 4, the grip of extortion, illegal taxation and economic exploitation. The reign of terror unleashed by Arambai Tengul and the UNLF extends beyond violence and intimidation, reaching deep into the economic lifeblood of Imphal Meitei region. These groups have established a sophisticated system of extortion and illegal taxation, bleeding the local economy dry and enriching their own coffers. This economic exploitation not only funds their operations but also serves as a tool to further tighten their grip on power. Businesses, both large and small, are forced to pay a hefty tax to the militants, often under the euphemistic guise of donations or protection money. Refusal to comply can result in dire consequences, ranging from threats and intimidation to arson attacks and physical violence. This constant extortion cripples businesses, discourages investment, and stifles economic growth. Government contractors are another prime target for extortion. Infrastructure projects essential for the development of the state are often delayed or even abandoned due to the exorbitant taxes demanded by the militants. This not only hinders economic progress but also deprives the people of Imphal Meitei region of much-needed infrastructure and services, further exacerbating existing inequalities. The militants' economic exploitation extends beyond extortion. They are also involved in large-scale smuggling operations, trafficking in drugs, arms, and other contraband. These illegal activities generate vast sums of money which are used to finance their operations, purchase weapons, and further consolidate their power. Section 5. Beyond the reach of justice, arbitrary rule and the erosion of law. In the shadow of the gun, the rule of law withers. Arambai Tengul and the UNLF, emboldened by their impunity and the fear they inspire, have established a parallel system of justice in Imphal Meitei region, one that operates outside the bounds of the Indian constitution and legal framework. This arbitrary rule, characterized by kangaroo courts and brutal punishments, has eroded public trust in the judiciary and created a climate of fear and uncertainty. The militants do not hesitate to mete out their own brand of justice, often in full public view, to anyone who dares to defy them or violate their unwritten code of conduct. Punishments range from public humiliation and beatings to ostracization from the community and even banishment. These acts of violence are not merely acts of retribution, they are carefully calculated displays of power, designed to instill fear and deter others from challenging the militants' authority. Local trade and commerce are also subject to the whims of the militants. They dictate who businesses can trade with, what goods they can sell, and at what price. This interference in the free market distorts the economy, creates artificial shortages, and leads to price gouging. Those who defy these dictates risk facing the full wrath of the militants. This blatant disregard for the established legal system has eroded public trust in the judiciary. People are losing faith in the ability of the state to protect them and dispense justice. The result is a dangerous vacuum where fear and uncertainty reign and the rule of law is but a distant memory. Please subscribe to Zalengam Media for more updates.